free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money.
Hail to the culture, a Washington Redskins podcast. It's your boy Bryce. As always, I'm joined by my brother Rome. Rome, what up, bro?
What's good? Victory pod, finally.
Oh, man, we have not had a victory pod in some time. So let's jump right into it, man. The Redskins get the big victory against the Lions. I mean, hey, say what you want about the competition. Sure, we're going against a backup quarterback. Sure, they're only, 3-6-1 entering the game. Sure, there was some, they're not a great team. Their defense has a few injuries. I get it. But at the end of the day, the Redskins got the victory, and it was Dwayne Haskins' first win as a starter. So let's jump into it, Rome. What do you think about the win, man? Just a quick snapshot before we get into some specifics.
Man, it was an ugly game, but a win is a win, and I will take it. We're 2-9. Anybody who's been following the pod knows I have a long-standing bet with the Eagles fan. I need the Redskins to at least get 5 wins. I know some fans are pulling for us to not get those wins, but I got $100 on it. So 2 down and 3 more to go.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely get into that a little later too, man. We're gonna dive into everything today. So let's start where I guess where most of the noise is surrounded around when it comes to Redskins Nation. It's the quarterback. It's Dwayne Haskins. Let's break down the performance, okay? I mean, Rome, I think we'll both agree it wasn't the best performance. I mean, it wasn't like, he wasn't a world beater, right? I mean, but you know what? At the end of the day, you're talking about, a young kid that's just learning the NFL way. And when you see a win, that means something in the NFL. Because at the end of the day, what quarterbacks are ultimately judged on are wins or losses. And that's really what it comes down to as a quarterback, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, stats are nice, but we've had quarterbacks come here and put up stats, and it didn't amount to wins for us. And to see Dwayne Haskins get his first W, it meant a lot to me. I mean, sure, 13 of 29, 156 yards. Like I said, it wasn't a great performance, but he got the W. Rome, what did you think about the fact that Dwayne Haskins got his first win as a starter? Did that hold any weight to you?
Yeah, that holds a lot of weight. I agree with you on the wins and losses aspects of being a quarterback. I believe when you're a head coach or a quarterback, regardless of your stats, your numbers, your statue, as what you've done in the past, it's all about winning and losing. You be a great coordinator, but if you don't win, it doesn't matter. You be a great quarterback, throw a bunch of touchdowns, throw for a lot of yards, but if you don't win, ultimately it doesn't matter. My big takeaway from Haskins in this game was he played well when it mattered. It seemed like he struggled, missed a lot of throws early on, about the first 3 quarters. There were some wide open passes to Terry McLaurin. He probably could have hit him on at least 2 balls that would have led to a touchdown. But it seemed like those last 2 drives, when Haskins needed to make plays, he made them, and that is what stood out the most to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. When it came down to the final drive, he made the plays, like you said, and that tells me that we've got a gamer on our hands. When you've got a gamer, a guy that's not worried about anything but the win or the loss, it's a different type of effect on the team, and it's because that player plays a different way. I mean, one player that I can just think of that is like the epitome of a gamer is Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson can be having a terrible game the whole game, and it comes down to the last drive, and he'll pick up 3 first downs with his feet, then throw a touchdown to win it, because it's not about getting to the process. It's not about getting to that position. Once you're there, you got to either win or you're going to lose. It doesn't matter what happened to get to a close game in the fourth quarter. All right, it's close now. Now you have to win it. And when I see it, like a player have a terrible game like Haskins was having, because I will admit it was a terrible game until those last 2 drives. when you see a player having a terrible game like that and they're able to shake off the rust, shake it all off, and start performing on 2 final series, that tells you something. That tells me something. That tells me we've got a guy on our hand that is a true definition of a gamer. And I can't say we've had that, in my opinion, since RG3. I mean, RG3 was the definition of a gamer. He would do what you had to do to get the necessary first down, sometimes to a fault. You know, he was a gamer to a fault sometimes. But seeing that quality in Haskins is something that I really appreciate. And I think you really saw it on that one scramble. He had to run about 11, 12 yards to get the first down, and he lowered his shoulder at the end of the run to I'm here. When we're getting this first down, I'm here. We're winning this game, and I love those last 2 drives, man. I love, man.
Yeah, that run reminded me a lot of Cam Newton, the way he lowered his shoulder, and then just the raw emotion and energy after that play, man. I loved it. Let's talk about a little bit more of the emotion that Haskins showed, because there was some drama that followed right as the game was ending. And, you know, the Redskins always got to have some kind of drama, no matter how silly it is. But let's talk about this Haskins selfie, man. Let's talk about Selfie-gate. If you guys didn't hear about it, which I'd be surprised if you hadn't, or you didn't see it during the game, there was about 2 seconds left on the game clock as the game was ending and the Redskins were about to win. Haskins, who was overjoyed, is seen slamming a water bottle. I believe it broke. Then he runs over, takes a selfie with a fan. All the while, Case Keenum has to run out and get in victory formation. Now, I'm going to ask you this simple question, Bryce. Big deal, no big deal?
It's tough, man. To me, it's no big deal. But it's also because of circumstance. Because of circumstance, to me, it's no big deal. But I can see the side of someone that thinks this is a big deal, you know? Like, I can sympathize with someone that feels that way, because it's like, it definitely shows a lack of awareness. I don't know, man. What do you think?
For me, it's a little bit of both. It's a mixed bag. So because of the circumstances, the game was pretty much already in hand, and that we did have it wrapped up, and it's the kid's first victory in the NFL. He's never had a victory as an NFL quarterback, so he should have all those emotions. And the thing is, you got to put everything in context. So all the drama that was surrounding Haskins before, all the negative things that were being said about him were lack of study habits, lack of focus, lack of preparation, doesn't have his head in the game when it needs to be in the game. And in that one moment, a moment where he should be celebrated and should be happy, he kind of proved all those naysayers and all that negative talk. He kind of proved all that to be right. Because although in that moment you have to act like you've been there, and I know he's never been there technically because this was his first win, you have to know that there's 2 seconds on the clock as the quarterback, as the leader of the team, as the guy who needs to know every last detail about the game and what's happening in the game to lead the other team. That this is why when you see him getting on the offensive linemen, the guys that have been there for a while, this is why you see a Tony Bergstrom face, or why you see some of these guys not jump onto what he's saying right away, because they notice these things. They notice these tiny little things that might not matter, it might not be a huge deal, but it's these little things that people are going to notice about your leadership and pick apart. I was talking to a guy today who was pretty turned off by Haskins taking the selfie, and even he said this will go one or two ways. Haskins will either play really well and they'll just look back on this and it'll just be a funny thing that he did after his first victory, or he'll struggle, and everyone who said that he doesn't prepare or doesn't study enough will be 100% right and feel vindicated, all based off this one little incident. And I kind of tend to agree with what that guy said.
Yeah, that makes sense. That instance is definitely going to be a defining moment, either good or bad for his career. It's either going to be something that we look back on, like you said, man, we're all going to laugh about it because Haskins is on his way to a Pro Bowl and the Redskins are turning it around, or Haskins will be traded, we'll end up with Joe Burrow, or Haskins will get cut, or something crazy will happen. You know how Redskins go. And we'll look back on it and look at that moment as the turning point. That was the moment where we all knew that Haskins, all the talk was true. Now, it's so tough because you're still talking about a 22-year-old kid. And anybody that's younger than 22 on the podcast, I mean, I know you don't feel like a kid, and really you're not a kid. You're a grown adult. You're an adult at 22. But at the same time, there's just, once you turn, let's say, 25, you look back at 22 and say, wow, I was different when I was 22. Once you turn 28, you look back at 25 and say, wow. But then you look back at 22 and say, wow, I'm way more mature. You know what I mean? It's just a cycle. And Haskins is going through that cycle right in front of our eyes, at least as far as quarterback maturation goes. It's so clear, I think, to all of us, that Haskins needs to grow as a quarterback. And I want to jump back into performance just a little bit, man, because I think it also showed in performance. And the one thing I want to say is, like, a lot of people have been grading out Haskins' performance now, and they've been saying, well, is this a improvement from past performances, or is he on the decline? Is he regressing? And when you look at this game, one thing I'll say about Haskins, for everyone that thinks he doesn't prepare, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, if you watch the game from a football mind perspective and not a fan perspective, right, you see Dwayne Haskins finding open receivers. Now, that might not mean a lot to you if you're not, really in tune with the particulars of football. But there's two steps to quarterbacking, right? Sure, one is delivering an accurate pass, but the first step is finding open receivers and knowing where the open receivers are based on the coverages. And that was something that we hadn't seen from Haskins in previous games. And yes, don't get me wrong, he missed a lot of those plays. But if you see at the end of the game, you see Kevin O'Connell embrace Dwayne Haskins the way he did. And if you saw Kevin O'Connell's face, he was really excited. And I could tell also by his play calling how he was letting Dwayne go. He was excited because he's realizing Dwayne Haskins just figured out how to go through progressions, right? Yes, I know. He couldn't deliver the accurate balls. That was a little too much to ask right now, though. That was just a little too much to ask of him right now. But the fact that this dude went from the previous weeks not finding the open guys, not knowing where they are, and this last week he had, 7, 8 missed passes or incompletions, egregious incompletions, but he was finding the wide open guy. And I like that.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's definitely a process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we have seen improvement from Haskins. And the next big step is going to be how he is he going to be able to complete these passes? Is this really an accuracy issue, or is he just going through the progressions and now just needs to not get too excited when he finds the open receiver and just calm down, throw the ball, and hit the guy? He did say after the game that he had some type of wrist injury. I don't think they elaborated too much on that. We'll be keeping track on that for the next upcoming game. But I agree with your take on Haskins, man. And if you did have to give him a letter grade based off the 3 games that he has started so far, what would you give him?
Off the games he started, so Bills game was his first start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that? Yeah, Bills game was his first start. It's tough, man. If I had to grade them all in totality, not going game by game, I'd say total I'd probably give them like a C- or like a D or like a D+.
Yeah,
I'm
right there at a D+.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say is, though, like, each game he's shown something different. Like, you know what I mean? Each game, in my opinion, and, people may not agree with this, but each game he's shown growth to me. Like in the Bills game, right? That was the game where essentially we kind of just ran, right? We lost by just running, and we had a couple short dump off, really easy completions for him, right? And he did well with that. It was very simple. The Jets game, that was probably, in my opinion, his best game so far, but he wasn't reading the field that well until the last drive. In the last drive in the Jets game, he started reading the field really, really well. But the majority of the game, he wasn't finding the open guys. Guys are running wide open. I'm like, damn, he's not seeing it. But then in this last game, I know it's actually his worst statistic game as a starter. Sure. But, like, if you guys saw what I saw, if you're looking for what I'm looking for, you saw this dude was finding the open receivers. And that means something. That means something. Trust me. Like, that is really, really big if you're consistently finding open guys. Now we just got to work on your accuracy. We already know he's got a gun for an arm, and he can put it wherever. So now we just got to wait on him to get the accuracy. Then that means that we've got something special in our hands.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Haskins, and I've been saying this the whole time, is the confidence, man. And that's why, for me, I don't have too big a deal with the whole selfie thing. I think the more that we can build off him winning, off him completing passes, finding the open guys, the more confidence he gets, the better he will play. And I think we're going to start seeing that. I think he's really going to build off this win. We'll save our predictions for another pod on this next game coming up. Who we got next weekend? The Panthers, right? Kyle Allen down in Carolina.
Yep. We headed to Carolina, man. And the crazy thing about that is there's a ton of Carolina Panthers fans a ton of Washington Redskins fans in Carolina, because obviously Carolina was once an expansion team. So it's like it's a ton of Redskins fans out there. So we might have a good little contingency in the stands out there. But speaking of Carolina, man, we've got a guy that once played in Carolina, and he didn't play for Washington last game. And that is your boy, Josh Norman.
Yes. That is exactly where I was going. The Redskins are going to be traveling down to Carolina, but I don't know if Norman's going to be playing when we get down there. Big news broke. It was a little confusing before the game. He was inactive, then he was active, then he was going to play, then he was dressed, and he was not playing. I think he played a couple snaps on field goal. So you got a $15 million player, and you got him playing special teams. There's a lot that could be said about that. And we've all been watching, and we've all been seeing Josh Norman getting burnt up and down the field, left and right. But I think it finally hit a head when Minuski was asked why Norman hasn't been as productive this season. And his response was, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. So obviously the defense, the coaches, everyone feels like they put Norman in positions to make plays. And after reviewing the film on it, man, I got to agree. Too many times I noticed Josh Norman going off script. Josh Norman, in his mind, probably still believes he's the superstar that was playing in Super Bowl 50 when he was shutting guys down and getting pick sixes that year in 2015. But unfortunately for Josh Norman, it's 2019, and he is not that same player. He's not even close. He's not the guy that can go off script and still make an amazing play. Too many times he's gone off script, and we've gotten beat. He's given up plays. So the Josh Norman benching, I think, came at just the right time. It's definitely time to see what we got in some of these younger guys, especially Fabian Moreau, who was extremely impressive with his 2 picks in that game, his first 2 of the season. Dunbar had a big one, too, and Jimmy Moreland had one go through his arm. So I'm excited to see these young corners get some playing time, even though I'm a huge Josh Norman fan. But his time is definitely up in Washington, and I hate that it's ending so bad, but it's time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have said that better myself, man. That is exactly how I feel. It's just time to move on. And the more ridiculous thing besides Josh's play might be the fact that it took the coaching staff this long to realize that his play was an issue. Like, how does it take this long? That's all I want to know. Like, we've been saying it for how many weeks? Like, I mean, I get the dude's making money, but man,
I have a couple theories. Now, this is not. I don't have any inside reports on this or nothing, but in my mind, when it's announced that a player is inactive, there's reporters that are in the locker rooms, have sources, and they're saying this guy's going to be inactive. Then in less than an hour, the team comes out and says he is going to be active. When you're paying someone $15 million, Josh Norman is taking up a huge, huge, huge chunk of the salary cap, much bigger than most defensive players. So when you have a guy that's getting paid that much money, and you tell him, hey, you're not even going to dress for this game. We're going to pay you $15 million to sit down in a shirt and a ball cap, and that's all we want you to do. We don't even want you in shoulder pads for this game. Somebody somewhere probably had a problem with that. Somebody who's writing the checks probably said, nah, he needs to at least be in pads. Or my guess is Norman himself, who is probably a very prideful player, it doesn't want to accept the fact that, hey, you've fallen so far from your pedestal that you're no longer even worth starting. We're going to put a 7th-round pick Jimmy Moreland over you. We're going to play Simeon Thompson over you because that's how far you've fallen from your star. So I think the coaches were doing this as a wake-up call to Josh Norman. I don't know if it'll work. I don't believe he's had any media availability. I'd love to hear from him because even Mineski said you'd have to ask him, and that is the question that I would love to ask Josh Norman is why he thinks his production has dropped off so greatly this season. But, yeah, maybe this is the coaches trying to get him into a wake-up call. I don't think that he's as bad as he's been this season. We all agree that this is his last year with the Redskins. But my question to you, Bryce, would be, as bad as Josh Norman has played this season, obviously he's not going to get a $15 million contract again, but he's looked so horrible. Do you think he's going to get a contract at all again in the NFL? I mean, he's in his 30s, and I can't think of a positive thing he's done this season.
If a smart team won't give him a shot, but somebody will kick the tires, that's for sure. But yeah, if he plays, he's playing on the vet minimum. He's playing on a few $100,000. You know, I mean, he's still got enough in the bank that he'll be fine. But this dude's done. He's done, man, and it sucks to see. And honestly, yo, like you look at so many corners that are able to play deep into their 30s, mid 30s, and he's not even that old, man. And like it's like, what are you not prepping? Like, what are you not, like, he hasn't had any notable injuries, you know? I mean, what could it be
he's
that...
He's had some nicks and bruises, but nothing to say, oh, this is why you're getting burnt every game. Like,
yeah, nothing too crazy. It just makes me wonder, where's the preparation? But you know what, man? I think that the Skins, unlike any other team, and I hate to put this on Norman, man, but this is how I see it right now. And the Skins have been burned, unlike any other team, by giving guys money who are not going to continue working once they get their money. And for the past, I'd say 2.5 seasons, ever since Dancing with the Stars, Josh Norman had it made in his mind that he was much, much more than a football player, which is fine once you're no longer a football player. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, like if you're trying to be great, while you're a football player, you're a football player in and out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't have hobbies. But it was clear to me then, and it's crystal clear in hindsight, that in those moments, Josh Norman was prioritizing Josh Norman, the Renaissance man, over Josh Norman, the football player. And
absolutely.
I think that's just manifested, man. And don't get me wrong, man, Josh is a great dude. Very smart guy, you know. He does
great
things.
Charity work.
Great charity work. You know, like these are things you can't take from individuals. So this is nothing about him as a person. Like Josh Norman is a grade A person. You've never heard anything negative about him in the news. You know, anything crazy. Like he's a grade A person. You know, 100%. But no longer is he that as a football player. And if I had to point a reason to it, I would say because he prioritized his endeavors outside of football far, far over football. And once that happens, man, you get what we're seeing now.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. So we finally got a dub, and those corners balled out. But as we alluded to earlier in the pod, some fans are a little shaky on the win. A lot of people want us to just be a complete dumpster fire, burn it all down, go 1-15, 2-14. That way Bruce Allen has nothing to hide behind. What are your thoughts on some of these takes, man?
Bro, it's the dumbest thing. It's just the dumbest thing to me, man. Like, this is why. There's just so many reasons why, and that's why it's dumb. Because, like, these people, first of all, that want us to tank, right? Okay, cool. Now, if you tank and you get Chase Young, I mean, that's pretty lit if you ask me. Like, all right, bet. Chase Young he's a beast. You know what I'm saying? But if you tank and your goal is to get a Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, you just saw what happened to Tua. He just got hurt, and now it's like he might not even be top 5 now. Like, who knows? Who knows how it'll end up shaking out? But I'm just saying, like, these things are never set in stone. You're talking about a draft of football players. People, you know, like medicals can come up tomorrow that somebody's got something wrong with them, and now your whole plan to tank, who you going to take now? You know what I mean? You just tank for no reason, right? Say you tank and say we do get the second spot, and we tank because the Bengals are looking like they're probably going to get that first spot. So let's say we tank and we get this number 2 pick. Let's say the Bengals decide to take whoever it is we thought we were getting. Now what? Who you going to take? It's just so many variables. It's like, why do you want your team to tank just so, you have a shot at getting a player? You're not guaranteed to get the player. And then again, so so all these people that want us to tank, right? These are the same people that hate our front office, that hate Bruce Allen, that don't think we can pick guys. So you want them to pick it? You want them to have that pick? These are the people you want with that pick, and these are who you want to tank for so they can go and choose another guy? Like, no, it's not. It's just not a good philosophy to live by in any way. Like, always try for your best. And don't get me wrong, playing devil's advocate with my own take, I see the other side. Yes, it would benefit us to get a huge haul of draft picks, and get a higher draft pick. But does it benefit the players we have on the team now? Does it really benefit Terry McLaurin right now? Does it benefit Dwayne Haskins right now? Does it benefit Darius Geis right now? John Allen, Deron Payne. These dudes are trying to build a culture, and you don't start building a culture by tanking first. It just doesn't work like that. Not in the NFL. So.
Yeah, man, I agree completely because in my mind, when it comes to NFL and fans wanting teams to tank, I always just assume that those fans have never played football in their lives, or at least not padded tackle football. And I'm very adamant and passionate about this. Tackle football is not the football that y'all are going to play on Thanksgiving with your uncle and your nephews and all that, and your nieces or whoever. Tackle football with pads played by adult men in the NFL hurts. These dudes are not going out here, and I know they make millions and millions of dollars and all that, but they're not going out here putting their bodies on the line to get a first-round pick so that some rookie player can come in and get all the adulation that they didn't get for putting their bodies on the line and losing every week. I mean, it is just absolutely, utterly ridiculous. The other problem I have with it, too, is this isn't the NBA. This isn't a 5-on-5 thing, or this isn't the Big Three where you only have 3 players on your squad at a time. This is the NFL. Whoever you draft, they're probably not going to be a two-way player. They're not going to play offense and defense. They're not going to take control of the whole game. You could get Chase Young. Dwayne Haskins can't throw Chase Young the ball. So what is that? You know what I mean? That's not a big, gigantic goal to me to get the first-round pick and you got the first overall pick. It doesn't matter how great that player is if you don't have a team around them because they're not going to get to shine. Look at the Giants and Saquon. Saquon is all that and then some. No one can argue it. But what is Saquon getting the Giants? They have just as many wins as the Redskins right now. So the whole tanking thing in the NFL is just the most – I don't like tanking in the NBA, but tanking in the NFL, it irks my nerves, man. Anybody – if you want your team to tank, just stop watching the game. Go watch something else, please, because tanking in the NFL is just stupid.
Hey, man, and let's who's the last team? Who is the team? Where's the definition of a team that's tanked in the NFL and something good came from it? Who's the last team to go 2-14 and get somebody and be great?
Exactly.
That happens maybe every 8 years. So I'm trying to really think even the Eagles traded up to get their guy. Even the Ravens, they got their guy, but they stayed put and they never tanked. They got him in with the last pick of the first round.
Think about it like this: as much as we do for the draft, and you do a lot for the draft, how many teams miss on draft picks? You're really thinking that your team is going to tank, and then they're going to do what? Guys like Christian Ponder get drafted all the time. Guys like Blaine Gabbert, come on now. You really want your team to tank? You really trust these GMs and these scouts to pick the right players?
You know what it is, bro? It's just the recency effect, man. Because people see, these people that think they know football in and out, they see, a guy like Pat Mahomes, and they just feel oh, you can draft Pat Mahomes, and he'll be Pat Mahomes, or they just see, Lamar Jackson. It's just a recency thing, man. These guys are seeing these quarterbacks. There's been some quarterbacks that come out recently that have done very well. I'm talking about Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, like these guys, and I think, and I'll even throw Carson Wentz on the list, like, but none of those teams were tanking. I mean, think about where Deshaun Watson went in the draft. Think about where Lamar Jackson went in the draft. Think about who else went. Carson Wentz had to get. They traded up to get him. Like, no one tanks to do these things. Like, nobody is doing that. The fact that, like, Redskins fans think that tanking is, if Bruce Allen's going to be fired, it doesn't matter what their record is this year. There's been enough turmoil this season that if he was going to be fired, 2-14 or 4-12, it don't make no difference. He's either going to be fired after this year or he's not. Like, that's already
That's what
in
I
the
don't
works.
understand.
These are the
That's
Redskins.
what I don't understand.
Like, all the decisions are made well in advance. Like, it leaked that Jay Gruden was probably going to be fired to the point where Jay Gruden knew he would probably be fired if he didn't perform well, and he ended up getting fired. But that was leaked in the off season. Like, our decisions are always made far in advance. And anybody that thinks that, like, the Bruce Allen decision isn't already made by Dan Snyder, they're tripping. Like, Dan Snyder's already decided if Bruce Allen's staying or going. So our record this year doesn't matter as far as that goes. Like, no, it doesn't. And the worst record we have does not guarantee the best player we get. Who are the best players in the NFL to you? Name some of them. Aaron Donald. Go check his draft position.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the Bears
go check his draft position.
The Bears took Mitchell Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes on the board. The whole taking thing makes no sense. The Redskins need to go 1-15, 2-14 for Bruce Allen to finally have nothing to hide behind. Let's be honest, Bruce Allen has nothing to hide behind. We all know what's going on here. Dan wants him to stay around and try to get the stadium deal. Outside of that, Dan knows he needs to get rid of Bruce. He needs to get someone else in here, and they're going to probably do that this offseason. Like you just alluded to, the decision is likely already been made and things are in motion. So, I mean, basically back to our original question, is it bad that the Redskins won? I think we're both saying emphatically, hell no, it's not bad. It's a great thing. This is how you build a culture. You build a culture by winning. You name all the guys that are in there trying to do it. And it's what needs to happen, man. Anybody who thinks us going 2-14 somehow makes us better is playing the game backwards or watching the game backwards.
No, I mean, I agree with you 100%, man. Like, who was the last number one overall pick? Since everyone wants us to get the first overall pick, who was the last number one overall pick in the NFL that was the best player from that draft?
Cam Newton, 2011, maybe?
I mean, seriously, I don't even think he is it. He's not even it. Like,
and then, but wasn't Von Miller right behind him? So it's not even
that's my point. Like, when was the last time? For all you tanking guys that want to tank, just tell me the last time the number one pick in the NFL draft was the best player in the draft. It doesn't really happen. But you know what sport happens all the time? The NBA. That's why it's cool to tank there, because it's a pretty good chance that the number one player overall taken is going to be the best player in the draft. But in the NFL, it's nothing like that. You can get an impact player from literally in the first round, one to spot about 45 usually. You should be getting an impact player in the NFL draft. It's not about getting that number one pick. It's about getting somebody into your system and developing them properly. But, Redskins fans, and I can't blame Skins fans because we've gone through some of the worst times that our times have been so bad. This just shows you how bad our times have been. The times we've gone through have been so bad that people are convinced the best thing to do is tank. But that's never ever been in the cards in the NFL. But that's how we're thinking, because like we've just gone through some horrible times, man.
Yeah, definitely no tanking. Please, no tanking. All right, let's get to our last little topic before we get out of here, and we're going to break it down some of the Pro Bowl voting. The Pro Bowl voting is open. We're a 2-9 team, so I guess my first question is, do you think any Redskin players are going to make it to the Pro Bowl, and if so, which ones?
All right, well, I have a list. It's possibly the shortest list of all time, but it is still a list. Nah, man. Like, if I had to vote anybody to the Pro Bowl, it's one guy on offense and it's one guy on defense. On offense, it's no other than Terry McLaurin. Get this rookie to the Pro Bowl, man. Especially if he ends up, look, what we got? 6 games left? Five games left. So my boy can get 100 yards a game over the last 5 games. We could be looking at a 1,200, 1,300-yard receiver with over 7 touchdowns. He's already got 7, I think, right? So, hey, man, get Terry McLaurin involved these last few games, and I think he would be my offensive vote for Pro Bowl. On defense, it's only one name for me again, and that is no other than Daron Payne. I've been watching Daron Payne closely. I've been watching the D-line closely this year. And Matt Ioannidis would be a close second. But Daron Payne, man, he is battling like no other in the trenches right now. He's moving people like they're lightweights. And he's just out there. He's really balling, man. He's making tackles down the field. He's affecting plays. If we could just get that secondary figured out, man, I think, and get that offense just a little more time on the field, the D-line is just ready to erupt. They're really ready to erupt, man. And Daron Payne would be my vote for the Pro Bowl on the defensive side. How about you, man? Do you see anybody with Pro Bowl, or what do you think about the guys I named?
I like that Daron Payne pick, man. I didn't think you were going to go that way. As far as offense, I gotta agree with you completely. Terry McLaurin. I don't think you can make a case for any other Redskin player on offense maybe making it. Maybe I'll give a special team shout out to Steve Sims. He's been a great gadget player, and he had that big return against the Lions last Sunday. So if I had to pick someone from offense, special teams, I'd go with Steve Sims. But for defense, I gotta go with my man Quentin Dunbar, man. I was not a fan of Dunbar when he first made a switch from receiver to corner. I was a little shaky on it, but he has done nothing but fight, and now I think he is definitely our best corner on the team. He might be tied for the league lead in interceptions with either 4 or 5. I think he has 4, so he might actually be second. But either way, Dunbar has been balling out this season, and I mean I'd be shocked if he doesn't make the Pro Bowl. I think this is definitely going to be his first Pro Bowl season.
Yeah, Dunbar been balling, bro. I also got a dark horse candidate who, my dark horse candidate, man, they probably won't make it or probably won't get any consideration. But I got to say this name because they've been our best offensive lineman all season. That's Eric Flowers, bro. Especially because when we brought Eric Flowers, it was a head scratcher when we brought him in. Everyone was like, Eric Flowers? You mean the turnstile Eric Flowers? But, yo, Stu's been our best O-lineman. He's clearly a guard. That's clearly his position. And, bruh, like, he might be, like, he's been our best O-lineman with an O-line that features Brandon Sheriff. So, I mean, that goes a long way, man. And I hate to say it, though, but Eric Flowers might be playing at a Pro Bowl level this year. I'm kind of hesitant to say it, but I don't hate to say it. I love to say it, but I'm a little hesitant to say it.
I will give Eric Flowers his due. I will definitely give him his due. Back in August, I didn't think he was going to make the team. I thought Wes Martin was going to take his spot. I thought they'd end up cutting Eric Flowers. So I would definitely give him his due. I don't know if he's playing better than Brandon Sheriff, but considering that Sheriff's bar is set really high and Flowers' expectations were basically getting cut and he's super surpassed those, I will say that Flowers he's definitely up there. I'm glad to see that Madden 20 finally boosted his ratings because they had him way too low on that game. But Eric Flowers, man, he's got a home here in D.C. now. I think he's finally caught on and found his spot here in D.C.
Yeah, Madden had his left tackle rating still. They had to give my man a guard rating.
yeah, get him in there as a guard, man.
As soon as you switch him to left tackle, his rating goes right back down. But yeah, man, shout out to Eric Flowers though. Definitely been balling, man. So let's move, right along, man. There's only one more thing that we got to discuss, and obviously that's the next matchup with the Carolina Panthers. What you thinking about this game, Ron? I mean, do you feel like this is one we should be getting the W, or do you feel like this is tough sledding ahead in this game?
People probably think I'm overly optimistic, man, but I think this is another game where the Redskins can get a W. I do not believe in Kyle Allen. We're playing another backup quarterback. I think the defense needs to lead us again in this game, get some more turnovers just like they got against the Lions. And if we can force Kyle Allen into multiple turnovers like we did against Detroit, then I think we got this game, man. Haskins will steadily continue to improve, as will Darius Geis. We didn't talk too much about Geis in this pod, but you guys all know how I feel about Geis. I'm a big Geis fan, and he's shown steady improvements since he's come back from his injury 2 games ago. And I think he out-carried or out-touched AP in the second half last game also. So look for Darius Geis to make big plays, and look for Haskins to actually hit McLaurin and Calvin Harmon on some of these deep balls. And I think Washington sneaks out of Carolina with a W, 23-20.
Yeah, see, if we get up to 23 points, man, something went really well. And I do think this is going to be Dwayne Haskins' best game yet. I'm predicting that right now. Based off what I saw last game and watching him find open receivers, I think this will be the game where he not only finds open receivers but delivers a lot more catchable passes throughout the game. I'm a little hesitant to say this, but I think we might see Dwayne Haskins' first 300-yard game against the Panthers. And the thing about that is that's a really good defense there. That's a really good defense for a lot of years. And I think this is going to be the game where we see Dwayne Haskins be the quarterback we've been waiting on him to be. I really do. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. Hopefully I'm right about this one. But I'm not sure we get the win, though. I think with Carolina, they've got a little more in the tank than us right now. I think last week they put up 31 points. I mean, they played tough with the Saints. I mean, the Panthers they're a pretty good team. You know, like they're not a bad team in any stretch. At least not like our last couple opponents. So I think we have a shot to win. I mean, the Falcons came in there and shocked them and made them and embarrassed them. Maybe we could do that, but just judging the way they hung in there against the Saints, I would assume this is going to be a tough game. I'm not going to say we're going to win. I'd say I do think we can get up to in the 20s, though. I think we can get to the 20, but I see the Panthers maybe getting about 27. I'd say 27-20 Panthers if I had to give a score right now. But I do think this will be Dwayne Haskins' best game, and I'm predicting 300 yards for Dwayne.
Well, it would be a win-win either way. If we fall short and it's a close game and Dwayne's out there slinging it for 300 yards, I think most Skins fans will be happy with that. But the only thing that scares me about Carolina, man, is Christian McCaffrey. Other than that, I think we're right there with them. I think things have not gone the Redskins' way this season with the whole front office and the coaching staff. I think our coaches and our front office have gotten in our players' way. I think the players just need to get some wins together, get some momentum going, and I think they're right there with a team like the Panthers, especially considering Kyle Allen is not the future. I know this isn't a Carolina podcast, but I can't believe that they were talking about replacing Cam Newton, but I digress. Anyway, Redskins 23, Panthers 20. That's my prediction.
Well, it's about to be lit, man. I mean, it's going to be a good game, that's for sure. It would be nice if it was on Thanksgiving. I miss us having those. Hopefully, man, in these next couple of years we get back to relevant and, we start having some Thanksgiving games again because there's nothing like a Thanksgiving with the Redskins on, but it'll still be football, so we get to enjoy that. And I hope, Rome, man, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, man. I hope you have the best possible holidays, man, and all of our listeners as well. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. And, yeah, man, looking forward to seeing that Skins game on Sunday.
To the culture.
Yeah, to the culture.
Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the street. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the